Nigerian Economic Summit underway in Abuja. Stakeholders harp on fair, equitable and just sharing of prosperity. African Development Bank orders support green electricity startups with $2 billion. And on Commodity Watch, gold prices ease as US dollar yields gain. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we're reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. We begin from the commodity market, where there has been outcry over bulk purchase of grains by unknown merchants across major markets in northern Nigeria. Farmers allege that the bulk buying is as a result of the redesign of the naira. Our agricultural correspondent Musa sought to find out whether the allegation is true or not.
Commodity market like this is established primarily for smallholder farmers. They bring in their produce for exchange with cash.
During the period of harvest, prices of food items usually crash even below the cost of production due to high supply. However, reverse is the case this year, as the price of produce, especially grains, are on rise.
I'm not anyway happy with the price that have shot up for food, because it will be a challenge to others. Even to us, the farmers, it will be a challenge. So it's not our wish. We, the farmers, have spent a lot on farm. If we happen to sell it at the lower price, we will not get back our money we spent.
Two factors were said to be responsible for the unusual trend in the informal commodity market. One is the impact of the flood this year that affected farmers' harvest, thereby affecting the supply chain of agricultural produce to the market. The second one is the allegation that some merchants and brokers are mass buying agricultural produce to save their money due to the redesign of the naira by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
It is true. There's a speculation like that. It's a speculation that people are, those who hold it, so many naira bring out the money to buy it from the farmers.
The people that are coming to buy the goods are more than the people that are bringing the goods. So if you observe that, it will increase by itself.
The price of food items, especially rice, maize, soybeans, and cowpea, recorded over a 20% increase in the last 4 days, while 50 kilograms of beans cost 28,000 naira against 18 to 19,000 naira last week.
Maize, we are selling the maize now. Before, even last week, maize is 23, 24. Today market is 30,000.
2 years ago, middlemen engaged in a similar practice of bulk buying when the nation's borders were closed. Reacting to the development, President Muhammadu Buhari described the act as evil and therefore directed the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to take steps to address the situation. As it is today, low-income earners are hard hit by the exorbitant prices of foodstuff and are entertaining fears of what the market will look like before Christmas and New Year celebrations. From Autaba Lefi in Kefi, Nasarawa State, Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
The prices paid earlier gains and fell on Monday, dragged down by a firmer US dollar and record high coronavirus cases in major Chinese cities that dash hopes of the reopening of the economy of the world's biggest crude importer. Contracts for Brent crude and US West Texas Intermediate crude had edged up nearly 1% earlier in the session, but later reversed their trajectory and headed lower. Brent crude futures were down 60 cents to $95.39 a barrel after settling up 1.1% on Friday, while WTI crude futures fell 70 cents to $88.27 a barrel after closing Friday's session 2.9% higher. Gold prices slightly retreated on Monday from a 3-month peak heat in the previous session. Let's take a look at prices of other commodities. Our Business Express continues after the break. Well, reports from ongoing COP27 in Egypt says Nigeria and other African countries have forged a common ground. Negotiations for just transition, loss and damage, climate finance, food security and biodiversity conversation as negotiations open at COP27 in Egypt.
We look forward to the unity of the continent and for honorable ministers to come and speak with one voice for that COP so that all the needs and the demands for our children and future generation would be met.
We understand that Africa is getting around 3% from the global basket when it comes to the finance. Now the target is we want to at least spread our arms to see whether we can reach up to 10%. Yet still it's a small one compared to what we are emitting and what we are being exposed to when it comes to the loss and damage.
Sure that those commitments are firmly, highlighted, and not only highlighted but scaled up, towards implementation. So Africa is putting pressure to these donors and partners to ensure that these commitments are firm and implementable.
They expect that the global community will come to agreement with Africa, especially in increasing or boosting the funding for Africa adaptation programs and initiatives. In Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, Onengie Fine Face.
Well, conversations at this year's Nigeria Economic Summit center on the resolve to work harder than ever before, think differently and agree on creative and practical recommendations which, if implemented, will initiate national revival for better economic growth. Now, I'm being joined by Leah Katumba Butunde. She has been to the summit and she's now back. Well, it's good to have you, Leah, on Business Express.
Thank you, Musa.
Okay, first of all, tell us about the issues involved in this particular 29th Nigerian Economic Summit. 28, rather. Nigerian Economic Summit.
So this summit in particular is one that is the last for a whole lot of people. It's the last for this administration because we'll be moving to another government. It is the last for the current executive, particularly Aswe Ighodalo actually read his final speech this morning. He's handing over at the end of the summit. So it's a last for a lot of people, and new ones are coming in. So it's sort of a transition period. But then the focus 2023 and beyond, which I feel is a very timely topic when you consider that we're also transiting government in the country. A lot of changes are going on. The nation's development plan, which has just been rolled out, the Agenda 2050 was prominent there. So when we're talking shared prosperity, is it prosperity for a few or is prosperity for the majority? Now, at the plenary sessions, the bulk of the talk from the private sector is, let this prosperity go round. Let this prosperity go round. And for the policymakers, it is, we are ensuring that it gets to everybody. And so we're putting all the strategy in place. And there was just a long speech from businessman Pascal Dozier, who delivered the keynote address, and he had a lot to say. Let the system work for Nigerian people, from agriculture to education to health to economy. Let the whole system work. Let it not be for a select few. Then another issue of importance was the foreign exchange market, what it's doing to everyone, what it's doing to the economy, and what it is doing to we as a people.
Okay, you made mention of others who spoke in the summit. What about the VP, Finance Minister? What do they have to say about our shared prosperity, as you said?
Yeah, for the VP, it came from a hilarious point of view, of course. Oh, I can't wait for this to be over so that by next year I'll be on this other side with you guys, and I'll bash whoever is on the seat. You know? So it was quite hilarious. But then he took off on that note and came down to the serious business. And I like the fact that he reeled out what the Finance Act was able to achieve in the last fiscal year, from taxes to customs, to the major reforms they've been carrying out across the business environment, the ease of doing business, and he reeled them out one by one. Unfortunately, because we didn't live there in a good time, I rushed from there right into this place. So we're still putting that out together. But he reeled all those out. And then for the finance minister, it is okay. We've had 27 years. This is the 28th edition of this strategic partnership with the NESG. We have been taking notes. Previous governments have taken notes and have actually been acting. It's not just come, talk, bash, and go. What you observe, if it's workable, we imbibe it, and we invite you and say, come and let's build this nation together.
Okay, briefly, what other issues do you think might come up during these?
It's now 3 days. I mentioned that earlier to you, right? It's now 3 days. That's Wednesday. For the first time, there's going to be a day dedicated to gender issues, and I'm particularly interested in that one, because on Wednesday it's just all about gender inclusivity. And the minister was also happy to key into that, and I'm sure we'll see more policymakers come into these discussions. And yes, for me, the girl child should have equal opportunity and rights. Who says the girl child cannot do more than her male counterpart? If you give her the opportunity, she will do it. But we're already having issues of out of school children. We're having issues with rape and abuse. We're more on the girl child than the boy child. Not discountenancing that it happens to the boy child. And then we're having these issues creeping up. Selective employments, selective admissions, and what have you. So yes, Wednesday, and I'm excited. I'm going to be there, of course, because it's passionate to me. Yes.
Okay. Well, overall, what does this year's summit set to achieve?
The summit this year, just as the theme goes, is actually looking beyond 2023. 2023 is a significant year for the nation. We have come out, this government has survived 2 recessions. This government has survived COVID. It is surviving the security crisis that is giving us food crisis that has been further exacerbated by the floods that have covered a large swath of land across states in the country. So it is quite important to look at the recovery pattern. You listen to Musa's report. We are having people buy off food from the farms. Yes. Then what next? The what next? The what next should be what everybody should be concerned about.
Okay, thank you very much, Leah Babatunde, our own economic and finance correspondent.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Now, moving on, more than $2 billion have been deployed by African Development Bank Group, AFDB, and other donors this year to support green electricity startups in Nigeria and the rest of Africa. In February, AFDB approved the Leveraging Energy Access Finance Framework, LEAF, under which the bank will commit up to $164 million to promote decentralized renewable energy in 6 African countries. The $800 million program will help spur commercial and local currency investments to scale up the activities of decentralized renewable energy companies in Ghana, Guinea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Nigeria, and Tunisia. Under LEAF, some 18 decentralized renewable energy projects are expected to be financed, providing access to 6 million people and businesses, resulting in 28.8 million tons of CO2 in greenhouse gas emission reductions over the lifetime of these systems. The AFDB developed the LEAF program in collaboration with the Green Climate Fund, which approved $170.9 million in concessional financing for it in July last year. Investors in Nigerian equities closed last week with a net loss of 163 billion naira as the Nigerian market ran against largely positive trend in the global stock markets. Moplanda Kok has more on the week's performance.
Investors lost an estimated 164 billion naira last week as the Nigerian equities market depreciated in the trading week ended Friday, November 11th. The NGX All-Share Index depreciated by 0.68% to close at 43,968.75 index points. The grip of the bears held the market capitalization at 23.95 trillion naira. The dip in the market was largely driven by sell-offs in Guinness Nigeria, Flour Mills of Nigeria, Nigerian Breweries, MTN Nigeria and Dangote Cement, as the respective prices of the large caps depreciated. Data from the Nigerian Exchange Group shows that all other indices finished lower, with the exception of NGX Banking, AfriBank Value, AfriDiv Yield and Meri Value, which appreciated, while the NGX ASM Growth and sovereign bond indices closed flat. 1.101 billion shares worth 11.7 billion naira in 15,697 deals exchanged hands in the week by investors. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 859 million shares. The conglomerates industry followed with 96.9 million shares, while the third place was the oil and gas industry. The top 3 equities for the week were Access Holdings, Sterling Bank, and Transnational Corporation of Nigeria. A summary of price changes shows that 27 equities appreciated in price in the week, 36 equities depreciated in price, while 94 equities remained unchanged, same as in the previous.
For performance of stocks on the global scene, let's join Bosside Abel.
Hello, it's the Global Market Review. Global markets received a boost last week from key U.S. inflation figures, which showed prices had risen less than expected in October. Investors are still optimistic, although the market opened the week with mixed reaction. European stocks were cautiously higher on Monday as investors accessed recent U.S. inflation data alongside warning from a top Federal Reserve official. U.S. stock futures traded lower Monday after the S&P 500 posted its biggest weekly gain in almost 5 months on the back of easing inflation data. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 84 points, S&P 500 0.37%, and Nasdaq Composite also dipped 0.63%. Elsewhere, Hong Kong stocks led gains in a mixed Asia-Pacific session. The Hang Seng Index rose 1.70% in its final hour of trading, while the Shanghai dipped 0.13% at 3,083.40, and the Nikkei also dropped 1.06% across 27,963.47. For Africa, South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 closed negative, while Tunisia and Namibia's overall index maintained positive trend. Other stocks like Nairobi's All Share and Ghana's GSA Composite maintained previous figures. That's the Global Market Review. I am Boss Sedi Abel.
Let's see how the Naira is exchanging for other currencies. Well, this is where we end this episode of the program. Don't forget you can access all previous episodes on YouTube. To join us again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. I am Musa Abubakar.